What's up, y'all? It's Will here at Schedule Fly. Thursday, August 17th, which means it's been a while. The good news is I spoke with Chris Canine yesterday for an hour. Chris has been on the podcast before. He's a veteran, successful hospitality guy who has a couple of restaurants down in Florida. Great dude. We had a long, wide-ranging, thorough, very transparent, honest conversation yesterday about a lot of things, not the least of which is what's happening with COVID down there in Florida right now. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably get that up tomorrow. But in the meantime, recently got back from a 2-week family RV trip from North Carolina, where my family and I live, out to Boulder, Colorado, where we stayed a few days, and then they flew home, and I actually brought the RV home by myself for the last part, which was wound up being quite a bit of fun. But something really hit me throughout the course of this trip, and it hit me because I was able to spend time with a handful of our customers in different cities throughout this trip. But, this whole trip for my family, which was sort of a bucket list item to take a, RV trip around the country, it really, that deal was sealed, something we've talked about a long time. It was sealed when Dave Query called me a couple months ago. And he said, Dana and I are going to be out of town for a few weeks, beginning of August. Why don't you bring your family out and stay in our home for a week? And, Dave is the owner of Big Red F Restaurants out there in Boulder. Highly respected dude. He's been in the business for a long time. Everybody that knows Dave has positive things to say for him. Everybody that works for Dave, his customers, really amazing guy. And he's become a friend. And that's just kind of, who he is and how he rolls. He's been in our books, or our first book. He's been on the podcast more than once, been in our video series, and he's become a friend. And this, I guess it was February of 2020, right before COVID, I actually got a chance to stay with he and Dana for a few days, and then they left town, and I got to hang at his house solo and dog sit for their awesome dog, Bunny. And, Dave's a friend now, personal friend. And a large part of that is just because he has, what you might call the hospitality gene. Hospitality is not just something that he does. It's what he is. And, he decides to leave town, or he and Dana decide to leave town. He calls me up and says, bring your family out here and stay in our house for a week. It's all yours. I'll give you the keys to my truck while you're there. That's what hospitality is. Hospitality to people like Dave and so many successful restaurant owners and hospitality business owners, that's how they operate. It's not something they do to be successful in their job or in their work, or it's not something they leave at their restaurant or at their business. It's how they're wired. It's how they are. It's how they see the world. And I just found that to be so fascinating. It's really finally hit me after all these years of, doing over 300 podcast episodes and talking to so many owners. The ones that are always going to be successful and will always figure out a way through a pandemic or whatever the case may be. That's it right there. And that is something that can't be measured, but it is something you know it when you see it. What's that famous line that some Supreme Court justice, I think, said, I can't define porn, but I know what it is when I see it. You could say the same thing about hospitality. You know it, and it's very easy to recognize somebody that operates that way, that sort of has that hospitality perspective on life. And, not coincidentally, two of the other owners that my family and I got to see while I was out there are Ramey Rossello from Comida. And Ramey worked for Dave and learned a lot from Dave, and she invited my family and I up to see her and her husband on their 14 acres up in the mountains of outside of Boulder and spent an afternoon there. Drew Hannes, Sweet Cow Ice Cream. Got his start in the industry through Dave. Drew is, we were texting back and forth. He's like, look, come on down to Rayback Collective tonight. I'm having my 50th birthday party. I'd love for you to come hang out with us. And, I go down there and spend time with him and his friends and colleagues, and, just amazing. And then Josh Diner, who he hasn't worked for Dave, knows Dave, but Josh, is another great example of somebody that has a hospitality gene. So I'm over there at Drew's thing, and that's kind of wrapping up. And I texted Josh. I said, hey, man, can you come down here? I'd love to hang out with you and meet you in person. Josh and I have talked plenty of times, but we've never met in person. And he says, I'm kind of in spreadsheet hell right now. We're working on this catering thing we have coming up, and it was really a big opportunity for them. But anyway, he's like, just why don't you come on over to the house? And I'm thinking, well, it's like almost 10 o'clock at night. I feel bad going to his house. And he assures me, no, come on by. And sure enough, wind up out back of his house with his wife, beautiful wife, awesome 2 teenage boys. And Josh and I probably overstayed my welcome. We talked for, I don't know, a couple of hours. This is just, and these are like no-brainer decisions for these folks. It's not something they have to think about or plan for. They want you in their home. They want you in their business. They want to make you feel warm and welcome and happy and content and, well fed and enjoying yourself and having a good time. And it's just no coincidence they operate their personal life the same way they operate their business. And it's why people want to work for them. It's why people want to go to their businesses and be their customers over and over and over, and why they have so many regular customers. And it's why I guess personally I'm just, have become friends with, thankfully, so many of the people that we serve. It's such a amazing blessing I never would have counted on with this business, is just making this new group of people that, happen to be customers but have become more than that, have become friends, and who I stay in touch with and know their families, know about their families, care about them, and think about them when things are, going wrong, and think about them when things are going well. And that is such a unique thing, but you see it, or you know it when you see it, as I said. And of course, the other person I got to meet for the first time, again, somebody I've spoken to many times but never met, Emily Blunt, St. Leo down in Oxford. They weren't even open the day I was there, but I woke up on the Mississippi River south of Memphis one morning, texted her. I said, look, I'm outside of Memphis. I'd love to come meet you. I get an immediate response. We're not open today, but come on in. I'll meet you over there. We'll have some espresso and hang out. I go in there. Of course, she's got 1,000 things going on. They just renovated their place. They're getting ready to reopen. They've just got all kind. They got a team meeting. They got they're learning all their new wines. They have a sales meeting. They got stuff going on in the back. They got construction trucks rolling up on the set, or big flatbed trucks rolling up delivering things. It was just nonstop. But there Emily is, present, hanging out with me, dealing with this stuff as it came up, and then quickly returning her attention back to me. And I'm sitting there, and I told her this. It always amazes me how these folks are able to handle so much, so often, and just maintain this sense of calm and warmth and welcome. Now, a big part of why I'm putting this out there is I think that, the last year and a half has been really tough, and it's clearly getting ready to get interesting again. Here we are on August 17th. I think in Charlotte, like tomorrow, we have mask mandates, indoor mask mandates. This is going to start happening all over probably again. There may be more shutdowns. There may be more lockdowns. There may be more, who knows what. But one thing, it's been abundantly clear about restaurant people over the last year and a half is how resilient they are. I mean, you go into this pandemic, they're hit harder than anybody. I mean, they're shut down, can't operate, can't do anything. And they just figure out how to iterate and change and tweak, and they stay positive as they can, and they make adjustments. And, it's like if you've been in the hospitality business for a long time, you've kind of been learning to deal with these little daily fires and nonstop things. So when this big thing hits you, it's not easy. Yeah, it's probably leads to some really dark moments, but you know what? They figure it out. It is a unique brand of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurialism is already hard enough as it is, and you have to do a lot of that stuff. But boy, if you are an independent restaurant owner, it takes a special breed. My point behind all this is they may have another tough road ahead here. They're going to come out on the other side. Some won't, and we've seen some close in the last year and a half, and it's sad, and it sucks when they do. Some may have been getting ready to retire. Some may have already had some issues with the business. But by and large, folks have weathered it, and they'll weather it again. And, a lot of them are having a hard time hiring people right now. So there's folks saying, I don't how are restaurants going to, do well going forward? They can't get people to work. And, well, they're shortening their weeks. Some that were open 7 days, they're now open 5 days. They're doing what it takes, and they'll continue to. And, some people may not like, hey, the service isn't as great at this place or that or whatever right now. And you know what? Well, give them a break. I mean, these folks are doing everything possible to find good people, and they will. Be patient with them. They serve you. They take great care of you. They care very much about your experience there. So if you have places that, the service may not be as great now, or maybe it takes a little longer because they're short-staffed. And most people are patient like that. But I hope you will be, because they're going to figure things out. It's going to return. It's going to get better. Their business is going to be stronger from all this. And but I tip my hat to you. All of us do here at Schedule Fly. You're doing great work. We thank you for what you're doing. Personally, I thank Dave and Drew and Ramey and Emily and the folks that we got to hang out with on the trip. There were a couple other folks in Oklahoma City that weren't in town, so we unfortunately missed them, but I know they would have been just the exact same. So y'all are awesome. All of you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for running awesome businesses and awesome restaurants. Thank you for always just picking yourselves up and figuring out a way to get through all these hurdles and obstacles and things that are outside of your control. People need what you do. People love what you do. Hospitality is such an important thing. And, we know it when we see it, and we love you for it. Y'all take care. Have a good one, and more coming soon. See ya.